The world's two biggest economies are set to meet this week. The United States and China will take part in the 6th Strategic and Economic Dialogue. Chinese Vice Premier Wang Yang will welcome U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry to Beijing on Wednesday. For more on this, we're joined by Warren Cohen. He's a senior scholar with the Woodrow Wilson International Center in Washington. That's an independent think tank. I want to thank you for coming in. You heard Dean Chung earlier talking about the S&E, and not a lot's expected from it. And earlier I was asking him about RIMPAC, and he said, you know, a year ago, if you were to say to me, the militaries are going to get together, they're going to have really good discussions, and S&E is not going to really amount to much, I would have thought you were crazy. And he goes, but to me, now that's sort of the landscape. Do you see it that way too?
Yeah, I would surprised that they were doing this. And I think it shows the danger of predicting the future, that we would say, you know, the situation is so desperate that they will never be able to cooperate in an exercise like this. And then it happens. And it shows you that being an expert isn't what it's cracked up to be, that one has to be very careful.
Well, I'm going to ask you to continue to be one, though. What do you expect out of S&E this time around?
Virtually nothing. The purpose of it is just to keep talking, that the relationship has deteriorated badly in the last year. I don't see it getting better in the foreseeable future, but the key part of the game is to stabilize the situation, try to prevent it from getting worse. Keep talking. Talking's better than shooting, and you know, so they'll go through the motions. They'll talk about this. We'll talk gently about the things they're screwing up for us and that we'd like them to do differently. They'll say it's all our fault, and you know, we'll go back and forth, but politely. Yang Jiechi, the senior Chinese representative and all of that, spent a lot of time in the United States. He's a wonderful guy. He's very bright. He's very funny. He knows his stuff, but he can play the game. They'll talk across each other for a couple of days, and everybody will smile and shake hands and go home, and nothing will be accomplished.
Secretary Kerry and Secretary Liu last week sat down with one of my colleagues and did an interview that we're going to air tomorrow, which is rather rare. What do you think that is? Is that just trying to get their message across to the people of China?
Well, and also trying to get their message across to Americans. But yes, and if they're talking to you, they're trying to get it across to the people in China, that we're friendly, we don't want to contain China, that you're causing some problems for us. It would be much nicer and we'd all live much more happily ever after if you guys would behave a little better.
Simple messages, I guess.
Well, that's all you can do under these circumstances. You know, every analyst in the business knows that this situation is going to continue to go badly until we get our act together. The Chinese are so contemptuous of our dysfunctional government that they're pushing very hard all across the board, and they expect to get away with it, and they probably will, unless we can start doing things differently.
Of course, it's worth noting, I'm sure they look at it differently than folks here in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Warren Cohen, thank you so much for stopping by.